34. 38 degrees officially at O'Hare. Next News 7. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Mortgage Update with Dan Frio. Every Saturday morning at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Don't miss Sean Hannity, Michelle Malkin, and Laura Logan at Freedom Summit 2019. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Over the last few weeks, there's been a lot of chatter that Democrat socialists are looking for some savior to come on stage. Some white knight. They're waiting for Godot. Pick the metaphor of your choice.
Oh, and then there's talk of Michelle Obama, and then maybe Hillary, possibly. She could swoop in.
Are they really dissatisfied with their field? Their field of POTUS candidates, Democrat socialists? Or is this just a media that's very concerned about the field and its potential electability, the electability of any one of them against Trump? Maybe it's the latter, because 538 wrote this up. Democrat voters actually extremely happy with the field as is.
Who would be happy with that?
Pew Research Center, 65% of Democrats rate their field as excellent or good. That's essentially tied with 2008 for the highest enthusiasm Pew has ever found among Democrat socialists. They add the numbers. That was in July. The numbers have actually only improved since then. A Huffington Post YouGov poll conducted last week found 83% of Democrats are satisfied with their choices. So what real opportunity does a white knight, other than somebody who could come over the top like Michelle Obama, who's not going to do it?
No.
What real market opportunity exists? Not much of one. Not going to happen. This field is their field. This is, the Norman Dale moment. My team's on the floor. This is their team. And if Jimmy Chitwood is not available, then they're playing without Jimmy Chitwood. So good luck with that. But that's what's happening here. They are happy with this field. So if you look at Biden or Warren or Bolshevik Bernie or Pete and say, well, I'm not worried about any of those candidates, well, that has the Democrats real worried, because that's the field.
That's it? Game over?
Andrew Sullivan, writing in the New York Magazine over the weekend, is there a Democrat who can win, trying to answer that question. Warren is surging, but she is, I fear, yes, I'll say it, unelectable. I may be wrong, but by pledging to rip everyone off their current private health insurance plan, it certainly seems like she's thrown away the core advantage of her side, health security. By floating the notion in the CNN forum that her future Secretary of Education would have to be approved by a transgender 9-year-old boy, she's placing herself firmly inside a cultural revolution most Americans are deeply uncomfortable with.
I mean, she has the energy and stuff, but if America didn't wrap themselves around Hillary Clinton, they're certainly not going to do that with Elizabeth Warren.
Well, there's also a stylistic thing that's not talked about enough, as much as we talk about Trump style. This is Andrew Sullivan writing, man of the left. Even though he's a reasonable man of the left. The Trump game plan against her writes itself. She, Warren, is a supercilious, smug, know-it-all Massachusetts liberal who reveals contempt for the deplorables the way Clinton did last time.
Yeah.
And she has the kicker of, the woman of color fraud. I just got to read this too. Cory Booker. His riff on Cory Booker is fun. Booker lacks a connection with anyone and still seems to be campaigning for a Rhodes Scholarship. On paper, he's perfect. In reality, he comes off as an earnest cyborg from outer space.
We talk about smug. He's the most smug of them all. And this alleged relationship with Rosanna Darius or whatever her name is.
Rosario Dawson.
Rosario Dawson.
Rosanna Dana. No, I think you're wrong era.
I think that's just a beard too.
Reparation H. Andrew Sullivan of Reparation H. has revealed herself as a feckless, authoritarian, lying opportunist who treats the Constitution as cavalierly as Trump, but without his excuse of total ignorance. Told you he's not a Trump fan, but focus on the Reparation H fund. Klobuchar is a ball of nerves and insecurity who seems to shrink upon exposure. This is great stuff. This is PG O'Rourke quality. Buttigieg is easily the best debater, most appealing to independents and a few wavering Republicans, but the big question still hangs over his candidacy. Will more culturally conservative minority voters, not to mention white working class ones, show up for a gay man in the numbers Democrats need? The cause for concern is real.
And then there's Andrew Yang.
What about Andrew Yang? Andrew
Well,
Yang is
He's
Yang.
singing a song.
Andrew Yang wants to ban car ownership.
Right, but he's singing a song. Don't forget about me, baby.
Yeah, this is one of those. Okay, enough Andrew Yang. This is one of those terribly staged, pretend not staged moments.
Oh.
This
when
is
they did the body surfing too.
this is an empty campaign hall or an empty hall where he's having a campaign event, and he takes the mic. And it just does an impromptu Simple Minds rendition because he's just so hip and cool and relaxed and fun. This field. Oh, boy. 83% of Democrats excited about this field.
That's a lie.
I mean, it's a good
There's
news.
no way they could be excited about it.
It's a good news, bad news. They're excited about a field of socialist goofballs. But it also says they'll be excited about whoever the nominee is, and so the base will ostensibly turn out, although I think the enthusiasm would dampen if somehow Joe Biden made his way to the nomination. But for more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by our friends, the First Ladies of Punditry. They are Diamond and Silk, hosts of The Viewer's View, contributors to Fox Nation, stars of the documentary Dummycrats. Ladies, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having us.
So, handicap the other side for us. Handicap the Democrat-Socialist field. Because my sense is, there's so much concern about Warren, and the left is so lobotomized by identity politics that couldn't a Mayor Pete, his thin resume notwithstanding, couldn't a Mayor Pete be in 2020 what Obama was in 2008? It's time to elect a black president in 2008. It's time to elect a gay president in 2020, and that's good enough for the nomination.
No. First of all, when we look at you talking about Pete Buttigieg, is that who you're talking about? Yes.
Yeah.
The mayor of South Bend.
Yeah.
What he needs to do is go back and run his city in South Bend because it is the worst city in Indiana. He don't need to run the United States of America. But I see what you're talking about because I have a feeling that a lot of donors is going to try to pump money into his campaign and prop him up as if he can be the president, but he's going to be beat badly.
That's right.
I'm tired of people running off of race or sexuality. I want somebody in office that's going to do the job, and we already have that, and that's with President Donald J. Trump.
That's
He's
right.
getting the job done, so we don't need a Buttigieg or Elizabeth Warren or a crooked Joe Biden. We don't need none of them. We already have a president that's getting the job done, and his name is President Donald J. Trump.
Now, what do you think?
And by the way,
yes.
we as the American people, we're not voting for a person based on their color or based on their sexuality. So we don't care if he's the first gay president or the first black president. It's not about your color or your race. It's about, like Diamond said, who can do the job.
Well, I know. I know this. I know that's our perspective, but that's not the Democrat Socialist perspective. And so the question was about the nomination because their perspective is the opposite of what you just said, right? It's all about your identity and your intersectional score. It has nothing to do with the substance of your character. That's the left's perspective.
But that's the reason. That's the reason why they want to bring in a crook now. That's the reason why they want to bring in crooked Hillary to try to fill the void. Because you looking at all of the different candidates, it's not about what they think it's about for the American people. It's about who can best do the job.
Well, who would you ladies like to see President Trump up against?
He can run up against all of them. He's still going to beat them.
Donald Duck. It don't matter. It don't matter.
He's still going to win. Listen, when we look at these candidates, we know they are career politicians. They all talk, no action. They go missing in action because they don't want to take action. We know this. Americans ain't voting for this. Americans ain't voting for no socialism. Americans ain't voting for someone to take their wealth away, take their American dream away. Think about that for a minute. If these people think that we're going to give them our vote, they got another thing coming. America ain't going to do that.
Well,
we love prosperity. We love peace. We don't like all of this foolery that's going on when it comes to these left-leaning Democrats.
Yeah, but so the ground may be crumbling underneath us a bit with certain age cohorts, and I want to get your reaction to this because it speaks to the quality of job we're doing in educating younger generations about freedom and capitalism and the complementary nature of the two. According to a survey done by Victims of Communism and YouGov, 30% of voters aged 23 to 38 had a favorable view of communism. 70% they say they'd be happy to vote for socialism. We got a problem with millennials.
That's because they're unlearned, and that's because they're being indoctrinated in schools and in colleges. Right. And listen, and just anybody under the sound of my voice. The Bible said, "Train up a child in the way you want them to go." It didn't tell the school to do it or other people to do it. You have to explain to people exactly what socialism is. Socialism is just another form of slavery. You have to, and then you have to tell, if you walk up to somebody, a young person that wants socialism, tell them, take off some of your shoes, take off one of your shoes and give that to me. Give that to somebody that ain't done nothing. Give me all of your money, and I'm only going to give you back 1% of your money. You can live on that because we got to share the wealth. Socialism is just another form of slavery, and you have to explain it to these young people because the left is trying to glorify it and make it look like it's good and make it look like we don't need capitalism because we need to be worried about everybody else. Well, let me tell you something. The poor is always going to be with you. But we're in the United States of America where we have freedoms to obtain the American dream. And I don't want nobody taking the American dream away from us and have us living in the American nightmare. And when you pushing socialism, we're going to be living in a nightmare. Look at Venezuela. They took their guns, they're throwing rocks. They took their food, they're eating trash. It's sad.
And
that's what socialism looks like.
Take a look at the different countries that have communism and socialism in it. Name me one successful country. Just name me one. You can't. And they can't either. And that's what they have to tell the children.
All right, ladies, on Thursday, the House is going to formalize the impeachment inquiry into President Trump. And Senate Republicans are praising the resolution, saying they hope it will open up the process and provide fairness to Trump. Any worries with you two?
There is no worries. You know, you have to understand that in everything, we're dealing with some that's in we call them the deep state snakes is what they are. Okay. They are what we call the rats that's clogging the pipes. So they're going to vote on this inquiry, but I want to know, why are you impeaching him? Because he dare go to run for president and he's doing his job. You're going to impeach him because what? We have low unemployment numbers. Like, why are you impeaching him? They want to impeach him because they can't defeat and they can't beat him. That's why they want to start this impeachment. And shame on any Republican that's falling for this foolery. Shame on them. You know, that's one thing about Republicans. They need to learn how to stick together and stop always going cold and folding because somebody got you under a little pressure. This ain't no pressure. They need to stand up to these lying Democrats. That's what they need to do. Read the transcript. The president has every right to call out to corruption, to have corruption investigated. That's right. Every right.
I wanted to get your reaction as well. President Trump's visit to Chicago yesterday, our fair city, where he took out after the police chief who declined to show up because he was concerned about Chicago values. And talked about violence in Chicago and what he's doing in conjunction with local police that want to work with the federal government to fight violent crime at the local level.
Well, first of all, didn't he do an amazing job?
Yeah, he
and
did.
The one thing I love about President Trump is that he is calling out these people. If you're going to be holding these positions, shame on the superintendent for wanting citizens to respect him, but he don't even respect the president enough to show up. You listen, if you can't make no change if you don't come to the table. That's right. You don't want to come to the table because you're listening to a narrative that's a lie. Stop listening to lies. Judge a person by the content of their character, not what somebody done told you about them. So shame on the superintendent. And it's time for people like that to either man up or stand up or get lost, because we want change in this country. Chicago should have already been changed. The violence that's going on. You have a black superintendent. You have a black mayor. They're so concerned about sanctuary cities. They're not even concerned about the citizens of Chicago, and that is sad. Everybody should look at that. And these are the people. Why do you keep voting people like this in? These type of people need to be voted out.
I don't
what
know.
needs to happen.
I can't help you with the ladies. I don't know. We're as befuddled as you are. Diamond and Silk, the first ladies of punditry, hosts of The Viewer's View, contributors to Fox Nation, stars of the documentary Dummycrats. Ladies, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
And they joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The Lou Dobbs Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs.
I'm Keith Peters in for Lou Dobbs. The European Union punts on Brexit again. Fitbit shares surge after a report Google may buy the company, and the Fed opens a 2-day meeting in Washington. Those stories next.
G'day, I'm Scott from Plug-in Pest Free. If you have a rodent or pest problem at your home or business, don't spray harmful toxic chemicals. Use Plug-in Pest Free, the electromagnetic pest control device that uses your wiring